Hello again, my name is Glenn Cummings and welcome to all our admitted students and congratulations on your acceptance and congratulations on your achievement of how much hard work you put in to your high school experience and beyond. Let me just say we are going to have 3 panels here for you today. One of them will be with students. They will be talking a little bit about their experience and why they chose USM and some of the experiences that they've had here. Secondly, we're going to go on to a panel that's going to talk about career and the importance of getting an experiential education here that matches with excellence in the classroom so that you are job ready from day one. And then finally, we are going to open it up to you for really our last half an hour where we will answer your questions as best we can. And we have a whole group of people that can field various questions from there. So with us tonight, we have Maddie Stevens. She is a senior from Monmouth, Maine. She's double majoring in marketing and tourism and hospitality. Also, we have with us Brandon Hallee. He is a senior from Fairfield, Maine, majoring in leadership and organizational studies, is in the accelerated pathway for a master's in leadership. We also have Ashlyn Toner. She is a junior from Richmond, New Hampshire, and she is a double major in both business management, marketing, with a sustainability track and political science. So Maddie, Brandon, and Ashlyn, welcome and thank you deeply for being here today and answering the questions of our students. So I'll just start maybe in that order or whoever wants to speak first. Let's start with the basic question. What is it that was attractive to you about USM? Why are you here? Why did you come here? And what made you excited about being here and staying here?
Yeah, I guess I'll kick it off. The main things that I was looking for when I was on my hunt for college was 1, affordability, and then 2, I wanted someplace that felt like home. And I came to USM when I was in high school, going to a bunch of sports camps and basketball and things like that. So just staying in the dorms and eating at the caf made a place that felt just like home.
Well, yeah, thank you so much. Brandon, anybody else wants to jump in?
Yeah, I can speak to that as well. I had a very similar experience as well with that. Affordability was probably the biggest thing that I was looking for when I was trying to pick through different colleges and stuff like that. And once I toured at USM, once I was here for like accepted student day and everything like that too, it really just felt like home, like Maddie said. I really liked the homey feel of Gorham, but also like that city feel of being in Portland. The job and internship opportunities as well within the area in Southern Maine were fantastic. So overall, you really couldn't beat USM.
So Brendan, you're about to graduate. Are you carrying a lot of debt or just a little debt? How far along are you?
Yeah, I'm barely any, to be completely honest.
That is
fantastic
amazing.
financial aid and everything from USM too. So.
You just made every parent that's listening online right now extremely happy to hear that. So, terrific. And anybody else want to share anything else anybody wants to share?
I think for me, one of the biggest drives to go to USM was those internship opportunities. I mean, right away, even as a sophomore, I was able to get an internship, which was really nice, and having those offices and faculty and staff are willing to help. And I've been with my internship now for a year because of the university's help. So.
Wow. Can you describe kind of what you did for an internship, by the way? Because I think that's something that's greatly of interest, especially again, since we're in the area of the state where there's an incredible amount of activity. Obviously, right here on the beautiful Casco Bay and close to the mountains is a great advantage. But the fact that we have so many interesting and exciting and basically strong preparation for a job and career here, small businesses, mid-sized businesses, nonprofits, government agencies. Can you talk a little bit about what your particular internships were about?
Yeah, and I think one of the cool things is that we are really closely knit with the community. So the companies looking for students to come and intern are looking specifically for USM students, which is really nice. I went to the internship fair my sophomore year that was held by the Career and Employment Hub. Mm-hmm. I really went with no intention on really picking up an internship right away. I was just trying to get my feet wet as a sophomore. And I went there and I stopped at the table at Unum. And he was like, "Oh, you're only a sophomore? Well, why not now?" And I was like, why not now, I guess. So I ended up working with them, and they set me all up. And within the next couple of weeks, I was starting my internship the second semester of my sophomore year. So.
Well, thank you, Maddie. That is wonderful, and that's something that everybody really wants to make sure that when you leave here, as Brendan says, with very little debt. As Maddie and Ashlyn said, you leave here with expertise that gets you the job that you want. And those two combinations of excellence in the classroom and that kind of preparation that you just described is huge. I'm going to just open it up to a second question here. Your relationship with faculty, we have an unbelievable reputation of having really tightly connected their faculty members. Can each of you talk a little bit about a faculty member or maybe a coach or an advisor that has made a difference when you've been very impactful for you?
Yeah, I can start that one. One of my professors I've had for probably 5 or 6 different classes, both with undergrad classes as well as the grad classes as the accelerated pathway. I've had Sharon Timberlake. She's been fantastic. I remember one time I literally ate dinner right after I had sent her an email, and I was barely halfway through dinner and I already had an email back from her. It was probably like 9 o'clock. It was kind of ridiculous. Like it was fantastic to have that support. Pretty much anytime I needed it. She's always been there for me when I have just general questions or more serious ones with advising type questions as well. So it's been a really cool experience, and I've never really had a professor that hasn't been like that either. But she's just one that sticks out to me.
That's wonderful. Thank you for sharing that, Brendan. Maddie or Ashlyn?
Yeah, on this, even the same thing with Brandon. The one that pops to mind in particular is Sarah Gezzi from the Tourism and Hospitality program. She's always really involved with the students and asking questions. And I know, like, as myself as a double major, she's my faculty advisor, and she'll help out tourism and hospitality and my business classes. So whenever I have a problem, she'll always jump right in and help me solve it.
Terrific. And Ashlyn, any experiences in that direction?
Yeah, definitely. I think something as a student, a lot of us just are like, oh, our teachers are just there to teach us. But a lot of the times they've had real life experience. I know I had a professor, Patricia Griffin, in the business department, yes, sure. And she's done so much within her career before she even started teaching at the university. And I think that's extremely helpful as a student, getting to hear those stories and the experiences that she's had, because that just helps us prepare us for what the real life career is going to be.
That's fantastic. Well, thank you all three. And let me just ask this, because this is something often on the minds of students, is did you have opportunities to maybe do some research with any of your professors, or do volunteerism in the community, or a special project that involved your professors or their professors' direction? Does anybody have an example of that? Because I get a lot of students saying, I heard you have a really good reputation with faculty, et cetera, and that some of what happens is they will share some of their research with their students and start doing things together, or do projects in the community together. Do any of you have an experience like that?
For my capstone for tourism and hospitality, I'm doing that this semester, and part of that is it's either you do an internship in something that you can do hours with. So tourism and hospitality, focusing on events. I'm focusing on an event and just research into that, and we had a meeting with the library and the Learning Commons, and they showed us about all the resources that the library has and how to utilize USM. So that was really cool too.
Well, wonderful, wonderful. Well, let me finish up with one last question for you, all three of you. What advice would you lend to our recently admitted students listening tonight who may be weighing certain factors in their decision? What advice about USM might you offer them as you, at least two of you, are about to graduate from the university, and you look back on your career, and what things might you offer to these accepted students as they're thinking about coming to USM?
I would really just say to stay involved, especially freshman year. Get to know the people that are around you in your dorm and other dorms, in places that are just on and off campus. I mean, there's so many different things to do and to see and to participate in, whether it be like community service type based projects, getting involved, like talking to your professors about opportunities that they may have as well. My internship actually came from just having a good relationship with one of my professors. I started that search with the Career Employment Hub, but ended up just kind of finishing it off with a professor, and they had the connections, and just getting to know everybody that's around. It really does come down to those connections in that community that's on USM. So staying involved and being part of that community is huge.
Wonderful, thank you. And Brendan, can I pick on you one more time? You had said something, one of the great parts that I think about USM is that you have that ability to be both in a really exciting, safe, and culturally interesting city at the same time. Just a few miles away, you get to be in a very pastoral, historic, very beautiful campus in Gorham. And it seems like many students really appreciate that mixture. Can you just talk a little bit more about that? You had mentioned it earlier, and I just wanted to see if you could share your experience on that.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I grew up in Fairfield, Maine, which honestly to me feels exactly like Gorham. It's very, very similar. And so I really liked that feeling. I wanted to feel like I was at home without really being at home. And so location was great. It's only an hour and a half away from where I grew up. I felt about the same, but it was so nice because really the best thing to do when I was at home was to go to Portland. So it was really great to be, an hour and a half closer to Portland for me. Portland's just amazing to have so many different opportunities, and even just alone on the campus as well. It's a very energetic, fast-paced, fun campus to be a part of. I kind of view that more as like my academic campus, if you will. I go there and I can get stuff done, but I come back and I have the dining hall and I have the stuff to be able to hang out with my friends, and the dorms and stuff are there. And it's going to be a really exciting time to have that stuff be in Portland as well. So it's really awesome.
Wonderful. Thanks, Brendan. Ashlyn and Maddie, any words of advice or thoughts as they're making their decision, as they're looking at coming to USM?
I would just really take advantage of all the resources that we have on campus, just because there are a lot of offices with faculty and staff, especially willing to help you with your academics, tutoring. We have, which are actually by students. And then also we have like professional help, like the Career and Employment Hub that can help you get career ready. And then also there's stuff for personal help as well that you can go and use.
Wonderful, thank you.
Yeah, I would piggyback right off of that. I think my favorite thing about USM after actually being here is just to piggyback off of that, all the resources and things that they have. So, yeah.
Wonderful. Well, please everyone join me in thanking Maddie and Brandon and Ashlyn, who did a terrific job of expressing some of the things that make the University of Southern Maine and Husky Nation attractive to them, and has been, it sounds like, a very powerful piece of their experience in education being here with us, and we are honored to have all three of them. They also, by the way, have been ambassadors for our admissions program and have done a terrific job of really telling the story of USM. So thank you, all three of you. Let me just move on to our second panel. We have Dr. Stacy Stewart. She's a career advisor and the manager of what we call our Husky Hub, or Career Hub. Andy Osheroff, the two of them are here with us tonight. Let me just start by asking the two of you, the students will have more than 10 jobs in their lifetime, and USM provides students a very realistic picture of what the lifelong career navigation skills really look like. Can you start by discussing what the approach is of the career team here at USM to career, and why moving people into real world experiences is something that makes USM stand out, and what is your approach to this? So either Andy or Stacy, if you'd be willing to share, that would be terrific.
Yes, thank you, President Cummings, and good evening, everyone. Yes, this is such an important question. I think students today have a much different experience than folks did in the past, and that the career is no longer linear. You're not necessarily going to stay in the same industry and the same type of job. And so it's really important to kind of spend time with students and have them kind of learn about themselves and what they value, because that's really what's going to be the common thread throughout their career. And so we get asked a lot, so that's all great, but how do we kind of develop a program around that? So we spent a lot of time trying to demystify that process, and we've developed this model that we're calling Get on Track, which Stacy can talk a little bit more about.
Sure. Yeah, so good evening, everybody. I'm Stacy Stewart. I'm one of the career advisors here in the Career and Employment Hub at USM. And we have a career readiness model called Get on Track, and it's really designed for you to identify your skills and your strengths and experiences that are all going to be relevant to your career goals. And it's a multi-year college career program that really will guide you along a career path while you're attending USM. And through the Get on Track program, we've been actually seeing students engaging with our employment partners earlier by attending Career Hub events, doing informational interviews, job shadows, landing internships earlier, and landing employment opportunities. And that early engagement with employers really helps students solidify their major and career interests, and it really helps them move forward towards graduation and a successful transition into the workforce. So we're really excited about the Get on Track program and everything that it encompasses for students.
So you don't waste any time. You jump right into getting them at the freshman year. They have an immediate contact, and then we track you through all 4 years to make sure that you're moving towards those goals. So let me also ask you specifically within academic programs, how embedded is this? Because we've worked really hard to try to make sure that all our programs do have internships. Can you speak to the importance of having all of our programs in the undergraduate portfolio, all of them, no matter which major these admitted students take on, they would be able to have an internship? Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, so internships are absolutely critical to the student experience here at USM, and also to the learning back in the classroom. So the stories of the student panel that you just heard are, I think, just perfect examples. So Brandon was talking a little bit about how he worked with the Career Hub to kind of develop and kind of do the job and internship search and develop his resume. And then he ended up getting an internship through a relationship with the faculty with the local employer. And then Ashlyn, very different, but also working with the Hub, attending an event that we had put on, which brought a bunch of different organizations onto our campus. So we see the Career Hub as kind of a convener of these sorts of experiences and provide students with opportunities to be able to apply to these different positions and then make the most of them. So we know that nationally around 50% of interns will end up as a full-time with a full-time position and a job. So we think it is critical that students make the most of those internships experiences to leverage it into something more.
Wonderful. Yeah. Good. Thank you so much. And yet all 54 of those programs having it means that no matter where you choose, you will have that pathway and that track. Can you share an example, either one of you, of a student who your team is working with, maybe now or in the past, and how all these supports kind of work together to help them land a desirable job in their career?
Sure. I actually worked with a student, first semester student last semester, and I met them after I had presented the Get on Track in the classroom, and they were interested in pre-med. They were thinking neurology, but they weren't sure. And they really wanted to investigate that interest in pre-med that they had. So I was able to connect the student with a contact at Maine Medical Center for a job opportunity. And the student was able to meet with surgeons and then go into the operating room and actually observe brain surgery, which was actually quite exciting to them. And the opportunity really solidified their interest in pre-med. And now the student came back to the Hub and was interested in gaining more experience in the medical field. So in the Hub, we helped them apply for a medical scribe position, which is, they landed that job, and it's now helping to support their pre-med interest and also their medical school applications. So even from the first year, we can get them really engaged so that that through line towards graduation can be really consistent and clear for students.
Mm.
And another example is sometimes an internship experience or a job shadow experience is a learning experience of what we don't want to do. So we had a student who was interested in research and landed an internship at the Gulf of Maine Research Institute. And while they really love the element of research and researching, working with the fish really didn't work for them. So they came back to the hub and we were able to work with them and discuss kind of the pros and cons. And the student discovered that they were really interested in the research analytics component. And so then the direct contact with specimens. So we even were able to get really finite about what type of research that they were interested in doing. And that just helps them further their career interests and their ambitions when they join the workforce.
Perfect. What a good example, and thank you so much, Dr. Stewart, for your sharing of that. Andrew, anything you want to add to that?
No, so I think that those are fantastic experiences for our students, and not always is the internship experience going to work out the way a student thinks it will, but just like the person who thinks that they are going to be a nurse and are determined to be a nurse, and then all of a sudden realizes that they hate the sight of blood, that is learning in and of itself. And, there's all kinds of opportunities to get involved with healthcare that we can help direct students. And so it's really there's no downside to doing an experience like that.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure brain surgery would move you either way. Either you're going to love that blood or you're not. So
I think that's exactly right.
So let me finish with one last question. Obviously, we have had a long reputation of working closely with businesses of all sizes, nonprofits, government agencies here in the Portland area, school systems. We have rural, we have suburban, we have urban school systems, something you don't have in many places. And so obviously that has been a major component. Can one of you talk about those relationships that we have and how important those relationships are, that we're in an area of the state that's somewhat unique in the sense that most of Maine's economic activity is happening in this county, in your county, and we have a big advantage of being able to place students in those exciting opportunities, those experiences, and any of you talk about some of the partners that we have out there in the real world, so to speak. Mm-hmm.
Right. So you're absolutely right that we happen to sit in the economic engine of the state of Maine, and that allows us to have experiential learning opportunities throughout the year. So not just a summer internship, but we have businesses right down the road of all different shapes and sizes. And so a lot of the work that we do around the clock is kind of developing relationships with some of these businesses. So for instance, Martins Point is one of our great partners. Martins Point is a healthcare organization. And a lot of folks think, when they think of healthcare, that there are only opportunities in direct services. And so we spent a lot of time trying to demystify what all of the other roles are within a healthcare institution. So we've started these biannual job shadow days where students get to kind of trail along various different departments within Martins Point to kind of learn about those without investing a huge amount of time in an internship or something like that. And if they really like that opportunity, or they like the organization itself, then they can start to apply to internships and things like that. So those types of partnerships, I think, are essential to being able to build a breadth of different experiences that are available to our students.
Wonderful. Thank you, Andrew, and appreciate it. And again, thank you, Dr. Stewart, for your help, and thank you all. We're going to now shift to our third and sort of final panel, which is a question and answers with what we call USM experts. These are people who are in a variety of jobs and positions here at the university. Obviously, I can help answer some of the questions. We will have Janine Uzi, who is our provost. Dr. Uzi will help answer questions around academics. You've just heard from Mr. Andy Osheroff, the manager of the Career Hub. And we have Dr. Rebecca.nisetich. She's the director of the honors program, if you are pursuing honors here, and we hope you are. We have Vice President Jared Cash. He's the Vice President for Enrollment and Marketing, and talk about the admissions process and enrollment. And we have the Dean of Students, Rodney Mondor. He will be working directly with all students that come into the university and making sure their experience here is excellent and supported. And we have the Director of Athletics, Mr. Al Bean. Mr. Bean will be glad to talk about any of you who are interested in our sports programs, including our intramural and our D3 programs. We have Dr. Paul Dexter. He is the director of the Academic Retention Initiative, which is how do we move more solidly to make sure that students who come here are able to stay here and be effective academically. And finally, we have Rachel Morales. Ms. Morales is the director of admissions. Many of you have already had some experience with the admissions office and maybe with Ms. Morales directly. So we're going to stop right now. We're going to take a 1-minute break. If you have questions, this is a good time for you to take a breath and send us a question if you have one. And we will spend the next 20-25 minutes trying to answer as best we can any questions that you might have. So we're going to take a 1-minute break and be right with you. Maybe from the provost point of view, from the academic side, how does my first year academic experience, how does it work and what does it look like? Provost Uzi, are you in a position to do that?
Absolutely, yes. So when you enter USM, the first thing we do is we pair you up with an academic advisor who sits down with you for 90 minutes and helps you figure out where you want to go with your major, with your college career. And that advisor will help you pick all your courses so you can start your major, or you can start exploring if you're not sure what major you want to begin. And we make sure that you get the right math class or the right English class if you want to try a science class. And that all comes together to put you on the path to graduate in a timely manner. So we want to make sure that when you plan that first year, that sets you on the path to graduate on time. Some students come to USM knowing exactly what they want to study. And so if you know you want to be an engineer, we know which classes you need to start out with. But if you're not sure, we might have a conversation with you about whether you're thinking about the health field in general, or if you're thinking about the arts. And if you're thinking about the arts, what kind of career might you imagine doing with a degree in the arts? And so that 90-minute initial advising appointment is the way that we really put you on the path to success, both to choose the major that's right for you, or if you know what major you want, to finish that major on time.
Oh, good. Thank you so much, Provost. And let me move to Dr. Paul Dexter. He is in charge of student support. So if you're a freshman and you're listening, or you're a parent and you want to make sure that you get the support you need, if you have a difficult or challenging course, one of the important things to reassure all of us is that we have somebody that we can go to. I'm going to just ask Dr. Dexter, how does your peer-to-peer lab and your tutoring program work? And how does that help increase and improve, which we've seen tremendously over the last 5 or 6 years, the improvement of percentages of students who are successfully completing these difficult courses have jumped up tremendously thanks to your efforts and others and faculty. Can you talk to us, Dr. Dexter, about the inner operations of how to get the help and how does that help get you through?
Oh, certainly. I think that we have a relatively unique model of support at USM. We have 120 trained students who are there to serve others in reaching their academic goals. And it's done in an environment that's really exciting and vibrant. So in our Learning Commons, it really has become one of students' homes on the USM campus, whether they live on campus or not. We have students who come in just to use the space, and engage with each other, to engage with the research experts on campus or reference librarians, but also those peer support. So we have subject-based tutors from multiple disciplines, a team of approximately 70. We have the writing assistants. We have peer academic coaches, students who will sit down with others to explore, how are my academic habits working for me? The way I took notes perhaps in high school isn't working for me now, or when I try to read a college textbook, I don't get out of it what I need. So these peer academic coaches can show students some new and effective ways and strategies that become the new normal, the new habits. We also have technology assistants, because so many of our courses are technology enhanced, but students aren't expected to know how to master those technologies on their own. We have peers who can sit with them and help them practice and get past the initial use of the technology so they can focus on the learning. And all of our appointments can be done either face-to-face on any of our 3 campuses or live via Zoom. We've done about 20% of our appointments like this, except if you're working with one of our peer tutors, you can have a virtual whiteboard, you can share your screen, and you can get that academic support from anywhere. And I think one of the big things about our academic support is it's not just for students who are struggling, it's also for students who just want that guided academic time on task.
Yeah, that's such a wonderful thing, Dr. Dexter. You are training students carefully to help other people and help other students. The reason partly they're so good at it is because they've gone through it themselves and they know those classes really well. So.
Yeah, they've been in those classes, they've had those faculty, and many of our peer support team struggled initially themselves. They've been through what many of our other students have been through. You don't have to be the top student to become one of our peer academic supporters. And frankly, it's one of the best jobs on campus. And we hear that again and again from our tutors, from our writing assistants, from our learning assistants that are embedded in the course, helping the faculty to facilitate active group work. They pick up skills that they can use in other jobs, other settings. They learn so much about themselves, and they just become stronger learners.
Yeah, talk about a great experiential education. That is tremendous. Well, thank you, Dr. Dexter. We're going to shift over to Dr. Rebecca.nisetich. Dr. Nisetich has been the honors director here at USM for most of the last 5 years. We're honored to have her, and she has taken that program from being relatively modest, down at around 50 or 60 students, to almost 600 students today. We are honored to have her. So let me ask you, Dr. Nisetich, can you tell us what makes the U.S. Honors Program so unique and so attractive to so many students?
Well, I think there are actually a couple of things that make honors education something that's enticing for students, and at USM specifically extra enticing. The first is that the honors program at USM gives students an opportunity to have sort of a small liberal arts education amongst a comprehensive research university. So you can major in engineering and you can also be an honors student as well. That actually is not super common. A lot of schools have honors education that's basically humanities, a great books curriculum that is only accessible to students that have really flexible majors. And so anyone in a pre-professional program like engineering or nursing or teacher education programs just simply can't fit those courses. But at USM, we have reworked our curriculum so that it's really flexible, and we've partnered with those departments to make sure that those students have access to a high quality honors style education as well. I think another thing that's really appealing about honors is the sense of community that students have with each other and with their faculty. So our courses are capped at 15. They are seminar style courses that privilege discussion and active learning. We do a lot of experiential learning, for example, and a lot of service learning in the class. And then we also have access to honors specific scholarships for study abroad, internships, short-term travel, and things like that. So the combination of types of educational experiences that you can have in the honors program at USM, I think is really appealing.
Yeah, well, it's wonderful. I hear so many good things. One of the things that Dr. Nisetich won't tell us is one of the reasons it's so attractive is that she and several of the other professors that are deeply embedded in the honors program take personal interest in every student and really makes it very nurturing. Can you tell us how, if students want to apply, how do they get accepted, Dr. Nisetich?
Sure. So currently, students are identified in the regular admissions process as eligible to join the honors program, and those students are sent a special letter from me inviting them to participate. If you haven't received one of those letters, then students can always reach out to me, and we have a brief application process that I oversee that involves writing a personal statement that explains who you are and why you'd like to be part of an honors style education, why you want to be part of our program, and also like what you bring to the table as a student, because we do see this as like a mutually beneficial community. And then we also require a transcript and a letter of recommendation from a teacher who knows you well and can speak to your experiences and fit in an honors program.
Yeah, well, thank you. That's really great to know. And one of the things I love about the honors program is that we obviously have high standards for getting in, but we also do it in a challenge by choice program. So if you feel like your grade point average wasn't quite reflective of who you actually are, you can go to Dr. Nisetich and you say, I'd really like to write you an essay and make it make my case for why I should be in the honors program. And we believe that if students desire it and they're willing to do that work, they deserve a chance to try to get into that program. So
yeah, and we have students apply and enter that way every year. So it's a common pathway.
That's wonderful. Thank you. Thank you again. We're going to jump down to Mr. Rodney Mondor. He is the Dean of Students. He is a man that you will see a lot of. He pops up in every building every day practically, and with a smile on his face and a lot of energy. Mr. Mondor, can you tell us a little bit about, so one of the things that's on the minds, we've got a couple questions here from students. Do students go home on the weekends? Do they stay on campus? Are there events on campus? Those kind of things around my sort of social life, and are there activities and things that I can, clubs and things like that I can be involved in that round out my education, also makes me really feel like I'm part of a family and part of a team here. So I'll turn that over to Mr. Mondor.
Thank you, President Cummings. Yeah, that question is actually quite interesting if you look at our demographics, because you say, do students go home for the weekend? We have our residential students who live on campus, but we also have students who are commuting and are home. But we do have students that do go home for the weekend to visit family, but we also have a lot of students who just stay. And part of it is they stay to participate in a lot of the activities, whether it's through our Gorham event board that puts on different things. They actually they do called Plingo. So it's bingo with prizes. And they have that, and they actually give away TVs and PlayStations. And currently, even in the state that we're in right now, they're working on a virtual Plingo for students to participate while they're at home. But there's also with athletics, and you'll probably hear from our athletic director shortly, the sporting events going on. There's just a lot that's happening on campus for social, but there's also on the academic side. All our departments have speakers and presentations. Our art galleries have openings for the student exhibits, as well as musical performances, theater. So there's a lot that goes on, and the key is you trying something new, taking, say, I've always wanted to take in a show, or even maybe audition for a show and get involved. And that is the key, is that the students, as you'll hear from our students again, that it's really about them making connections and finding that right connection for you. And it could be a small group or it could be a big event. But part of it is we've got a team in student affairs who can sit down with you and help you figure out what maybe that right match is for you.
Yeah, thank you so much. And I agree with you. I try to get to a lot of the sporting events, a lot of theater events, a lot of musical events. And let me just say, my wife and I can't keep up with that. So there's a lot going on, and I know that you're at the center of a lot of those activities. Why don't we jump to our athletic director, Mr. Albert Bean. He is a longtime athletic director, extremely well respected in the state, and has been responsible for supporting coaches that have gone all the way to World Series and national titles on a number of occasions. And we're always honored to be part of his world in athletics here, Division I and others. Mr. Bean, can you talk a little bit about, as an athlete, what are the ways that USM's athletes can live successfully as both an academic scholar and at the same time being an athlete, which is no easy task? And what are some of the opportunities for other things beyond that, beyond your Division III, your club sports and those kind of things?
Yeah, certainly. Thanks very much. We're very proud, obviously, of our program. 22 sports, 11 for men, 11 for women, and we have had a lot of success. I think we really live the service promise of the University of Student Focused Every Day, and everything we do fits into 5 real key areas: academic success, athletic achievement, personal development, career development, and service to the community. So we are really trying to help our student athletes develop as a whole person, encourage them to be integrated into the life of the university, in addition to participating in athletics and having a strong academic foundation. So we encourage them to get involved in clubs and government and BNRA and other activities, so that when they leave here, they're really prepared to be successful in their life. And we feel like we have a very strong learning community, and the athletes really support each other, but so do others on campus. And one of the great things, if you participate here, is you will find the president in the stands or on the sideline yelling for you and supporting you, which is nice to see.
Always keeping it very clean and appropriate, but yes, strongly supporting those teams. And I have to say, our teams have done incredibly well, and I'm really honored to be part of that. Can you talk a little bit about some of the club sports, Mr. Bean? What are the things that you can do if you're not going to play Division III sports here? There still is a whole host of great events. I know my son, who went to school here, took advantage of some intramural basketball and some intramural volleyball, and had a great time. Met a lot of other students here doing that. Had a great experience in his years here as well. Can you talk a little bit about what's open to them?
Sure. Mark Roy, who has been involved as the director of intramurals and recreation, working with student life and student activities, has done a great job of expanding opportunities in the last 2 or 3 years. They have club hockey, club rugby. There's all kinds of intramural activities, flag football, basketball opportunities, disc golf. The list goes on and on. And between, as Dean Mondor had said earlier, between all of the activities on campus, about 200 home athletic events, music, theater, art, this place offers an awful lot. So it's there for you if you want to take advantage of it.
Got it. Well, thank you. Thank you for all your hard work, Mr. Bean, and thank you for some of the questions. Here's another one. This might be actually directed towards me. We hear some exciting things are happening on the Portland campus with options to live in the dorms as upperclassmen our junior and senior year, as you build 577 new units as reported in the paper. Can you talk about that construction? I can, and we're very excited about it. Here in Portland, we have never had an overnight option for students. This would be students who they'd still do their first couple of years here at the Gorham campus, and then they would apply to come here to the Portland campus. It would be for upperclassmen, juniors, and seniors, possibly as young as sophomores. And then would also include law students and graduate students that we have here as part of the university as well. It would take away the sort of central area right now, really a parking lot between what, if you know the campus between Masterton and Woodbury, and put that all back into a quad and build a brand new student center plus residential halls. And that construction will really begin this late spring, early summer, as we start to bring that into fruition. And that's been extremely exciting for us. We know there's a lot of demand for students to have a first-class student center they can hang out in, and it will also include the career center that you heard from Dr. Stewart and Mr. Osheroff earlier around how important that career center is, and also have fantastic spot for students to be able to just hang out. And beside that and connected to it will be dormitories, as I said, for graduate students, law students, and upperclassmen here in Portland, which, as many of you know, is one of the hot spots along the East Coast, increasingly known for its food, its beauty, its culture, etc. So we are very excited about being able to offer that to you. So if you join up, you might be literally the first group of students that would be partaking in what we think will be beautiful and exciting revitalization or next step of the Portland campus. So thank you for that. So we have one last question. I just wanted to kind of go back to a larger question about the relationship between our Portland, Gorham, and Lewiston campus, and I'll take a stab at that too. I want to say, as you heard Brandon say, our senior this year, what he mentioned, I really appreciated that he loved the idea of doing a lot of his classes in Portland, going home to Gorham, which actually felt a lot like the town of Fairfield where he grew up, and it felt very comfortable to him. Our Lewiston campus is smaller, but it's also very attractive and very, very accommodating, very family feel to our Lewiston campus. And it has a number of options, particularly some nursing and healthcare options as well, nursing and masters of occupational therapy, things that are of great interest to a number of students. So the relationship, but we think that relationship of having two main campuses, Portland and Gorham, so close together, and having the option of having kind of a pastoral, historic campus and an inner inner city Portland, much more vibrant, culturally exciting place, but has more of an urban feel to it. So that transition, or that partnership between the two, is something that many of our students say they really, really like about USM. So let me just take a moment to once again congratulate all of you who are admitted. Congratulations on your achievements in high school academically and extracurricular wise. We're very, very honored to have you here at the university, and we are pleased to be able to offer this show to you. In a sort of a concluding statement, I would say in uncertain times, and this is definitely in uncertain times, as I said, you need a high quality, but you also need to make sure that it's affordable and you don't put yourself in exceptional debt. That's a strength that we have, both excellence in the classroom and affordability are strengths that we have. And now a very strong emphasis on getting you the job, the career options that you want. And finally, it is, as you pointed out today, as Brendan and Ashlyn and Maddie and others from our student body pointed out, having the option of being in a safe place, often close to home, but not always close to home, that you feel connected to and have lots of different options, is perfect for uncertain times. This is the university, I think, of the future, and it is certainly the university of today, and giving a strong academic experience along with a deep, rich cultural experience for our students, and lots of support on the way. So with that, I'm going to say good night. I appreciate it, or thank you for listening. I appreciate that greatly. And I thank you all for who participated, the people from the Career Center, our students, and our many leaders here on campus who were able to speak to their various programs tonight. We are deeply grateful. Thank you, and we really appreciate all your support.